Yeah, trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, there's no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision. Trendsetter.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Carnivore Evolution. I'm your host, Victoria Olson, and today our guest is Nicole Massey from Great Britain. And we're going to hear about Nicole's health and weight history and her experience with the carnivore diet. Hello, Nicole. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Victoria. Yeah, I feel very honored that you've asked me to come along. And do you know what? For me, particularly as an older woman who's been on such a painful, difficult, crazy food journey, that I'm going to be 61 in a few weeks' time, that has eventually led me to becoming carnivore. Um, and it's so interesting because I feel so excited about my carnivore journey so far. I haven't been doing it for long, but how I feel just in I started it in January, and I've had a few slips with my carnivore journey, but I know it's like I can see the bigger picture. I can see the kind of results of being able to sustain this long time for me, on a full time basically. So I feel, when something just feels right. My body loves it. I have more energy. I sleep well. Um, I I used to take maybe 25, 30 supplements a day,
That's awesome.
because my eating habits were so bad that I thought, well, oh, if I take this and I take this and I take this, it'll compensate for my really bad eating habits. And I've got ADHD. I had horrendous problems sleeping. I had high blood pressure. And I am literally off all of my medications, and I am not
Mhm.
taking a single supplement either, which
Wow,
is a
it's
miracle.
wonderful.
Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, it's usually when someone gets into their 60s, it's like the medications increase.
Oh,
Whereas
yeah.
mine's decreasing, my energy levels are going up. Um, I've had chronic pain for basically, I broke my ankle and leg in right at the beginning of lockdown, when COVID was happening. And since then, I've been in chronic pain with my body. And it's been one thing after another, after another, after another. And I severely damaged my back last year, to the point where I could hardly move. And I've got degenerative discs and all sorts of issues. And I had to cancel my gym membership. I literally have not been able to do anything for a full year. And I have rejoined the gym today.
Wow,
I have
great.
booked an appointment with a personal trainer, because today I am pain free. I have no pain
Oh,
in my body.
wonderful. Wonderful.
So with my journey, I would say miracles have happened with me. Literally miracles. The history kind of leading up to, well, to becoming carnivore. It goes back to me as a child. Food was always a thing for me as a child. I would either restrict or overeat. Sugar addiction. And then what happened with me was when I was old enough, I then found alcohol, which is a great sugar replacement. So it switched from the food to the alcohol. And then until I was 51, I had this on-off relationship, and it would be either alcohol or food or sugar, or and there was this whole kind of merry-go-round of addictions going on. And it was the death of my husband back in 2015 that changed my life dramatically. Um, and after he died of alcoholic liver failure. He was an alcoholic. We were both drinking way too much. He had the same issues, food, alcohol, and he couldn't do life. He just couldn't do life. And when he passed, and I made the decision that I was going to live, it was like, okay, I'm going to live, but I want the Ferrari of life. I want to be the best version of myself. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea how that's going to look. Um, since 2015, I've embarked on this whole journey of the first thing was to get sober, and give up smoking, which I did in my first year. Um, and what happens when I gave up the alcohol was I turned to food. So it's been a real roller coaster for me, and I put on a huge amount of weight. I've lost so far. I've lost about 25 kilos. I know you do pounds there, but
Yeah.
it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of weight.
That
Um,
is, yes.
but what was really interesting was I learned to love myself in my bigness because I had previously I didn't love myself. I didn't like myself, who I was as a person. Um, so actually learning to like myself in my bigness probably didn't help me. But I was also kidding myself because although I thought I genuinely loved myself, I wasn't putting the right foods in my body. I wasn't feeding myself the right foods. And then I realized, I wanted to do something about my health because my health was deteriorating with all the rubbish foods that I was eating. So I tried ketogenic, which worked quite well, reasonably well. But it was, I just hadn't been able, I couldn't sustain anything. So then I took myself off to this place um, for a month. I ended up going to an eating disorder rehab, funnily enough, in Florida, for a month, and it kind of helped me with why I was doing what I was doing. But their eating regime was too much fruit. Was just I was eating 6 times a day,
Mm.
and my whole life was revolved around food. So I became completely obsessed with food. I had to weigh my food. I had to work out what I was going to eat 6 times a day, and it literally took up my whole life. Um, and then I went to a place in Turkey. I mean, I've been on quite some journey with my food and my health and everything. And then I went to this place in Turkey where I did some juicing detox and some fasting and stuff, and that kind of helped. And then I got back home and went back to keto again. But again, I just could never sustain it. And I ended up in Mexico at Christmas, just gone. And I was at a retreat place, and there was a medical doctor there. And he's a regenerative doctor as well, so he believes in longevity of life and everything. And I kind of told him my story around my food and stuff, and he said to me, he said, "Have you ever tried the carnivore diet?" I said, no, no. And it's like, oh, well, that sounds quite exciting. So for me, I love to do research. I love to read about, if I'm going to try something, I want to know why I'm going to do it, what are going to be the benefits for me and stuff. So I read, is it Sean Baker's book? I listened to his book. Um, and I thought, wow, this sounds really interesting. And I loved the fact that it was high fat because I love butter. I love cream, and 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 I just thought, try it. You know, it resonated with me. Try it. And I kind of trusted the fact that it resonated with me. I trusted myself enough to know that actually this is something that I think will be really good for my health, for kind of getting to the point where I really want to get to with my body shape as well. Um so I started in January. I came back from Mexico and I was like all gung ho and started the carnivore. And I joined many Facebook pages and I bought a couple of cookery books. But I really struggled with it because what I realized I was doing was I was having far too much salt. I was eating too much fat. I couldn't get the balance right. And then I would get frustrated. And I also had really strong sugar cravings during it. So I would try and make these kind of puddings, desserts with, and I would add in stevia and stuff. And I think my body was it was still reminding me of sweet stuff, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Um, so so I put my thinking cap on, thinking, I know, I just had this feeling, Victoria, that this is a way of life, this is a way of eating that I really want to try and want to be able to do long term. Predominantly for me are the health benefits. It's about all for me. It's about longevity of life and health benefits, not being in pain. Being able to live an incredible life in my 60s, 70s, 80s. So I thought, right, I need a coach. I need a carnivore coach. And carnivore is not well known in the UK. It's not as well known as it is in America. Um, and I really struggled to find someone. So I was Googling and everything. And then um, I found this guy called Mark Ennis, who and he was a carnivore coach. And I thought, great, and not only was he a carnivore coach, he's a PT trainer as well. So I messaged him and we had a quick chat and I thought, I like this guy. I like he's really passionate about it. I like I really liked his positivity around it. Um so I signed up with Mark. I think must have been February time. Something it must have been, yeah, February time. And so I've been working with Mark ever since. And what he did for me was he gave me the guidance that I needed. He also gave me accountability because I live by myself. It's me, you know, I can eat whatever I want at any time. I can choose to do anything. And then I can go out in the big world, wide world and say, oh, no, 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 I've been really good. No, I'm still on the carnivore, but the only person I'm kidding is myself, you know. So I knew for me, I really needed that accountability and someone to work with and someone I could be really open and honest with. And like, if I'm having a bad time, I'm having a bad time. Um, and the thing, what I really liked about working, or what I enjoy working with Mark, is he said the most important stage is the first stage, which is to heal your body. He said it's not about the weight loss because I've put some weight on, it's my weight's yo-yoed and stuff. He said it's once you heal the body, then we can then look at the weight loss. Then we can then look at introducing exercise back into your life. And then we can then look at the maintenance stage. And I really liked that he's looking at the bigger picture. It's not just about the weight loss. It's not just about exercise, weight loss. Um,
Yes.
that it is about health because, I love the saying, your health is your wealth. Because without health, you can't work. You can't be the best version of yourself. You can't be, who you want to be. Um, and has it been an easy journey? No, it hasn't been an easy journey. Um, but I think for me, there's been a fear for me about giving up what I would call my final addiction, which is sugar. And it's kind of like, why am I hanging on to it? What is the old part of me wanting to hang on to? And that's kind of what it feels like. There was a part of me that is clinging on to this. Oh, I can't give it up. I can't, who am I going to be if I give it up? And what I've realized literally in the last couple of weeks, something big has shifted in me, Victoria. That I really feel I'm able to let go. I'm able to surrender, to let go, and trust, and really trust the carnivore diet. Trust that it's going to work. I don't have sugar cravings today. I don't have any desire to have anything sweet today. I feel really at peace with the foods that I'm eating. I'm loving what I'm eating. I'm really enjoying it. Whereas before it felt like it was a bit of a battle because I was still hanging on to that old part of me. And I think what it was the sugar helped to numb me, helped me to not have to maybe deal with things, to deal with feelings and emotions. Even though I have spent a whole lifetime convincing myself that I didn't eat that I didn't have an addiction to food. Oh, no. I just have a sweet tooth. And it was rubbish. It was, it was it just, so I think by admitting that to myself, that actually that's exactly what I was doing. I really feel today I am in a space of peace, being pain-free, really enjoying my food. And my God, it's so easy. Jesus, I don't have to go to a supermarket and do a full shop. I get my meats online. Because I'm not buying much, it means I can afford to buy good quality meats, grass-fed, organic free, all that kind of, stuff, because I'm not buying anything else. And I literally go to the supermarket and I have a hand basket instead of a shopping trolley now because there's so few things that I actually need. And, I have a choice of about maybe, I have a choice of things I can cook and how will I cook them or whatever. So but it's easy because there's not much to cook. So it's great, and again, living by myself, I'm a really lazy cook. I don't like cooking. If I'm cooking for people, um, and I'm really getting joy from it as well. It has been a process. It hasn't been, my whole food journey has not been an easy process for me. And I think it's because it was such an early addiction. And it's for me, I really genuinely feel I have finally let go of all of that now. It's like, because that's not me. I am not that person anymore. I am this whole new version of myself, and I want the best for me. I really genuinely want the best for me, and I want to put this really good quality food into my body now. And I know every time I eat sugar, every time I eat carbohydrates, my body swells up. I feel tired. All my joints start to ache, and I just don't feel well. It's so interesting. It really is. And yeah, so today I feel very positive about my carnivore journey, and what I don't want to say is, I don't want to say, oh, that's it, I'm there for the rest of my life, because I can't say that. So what I've committed to is, I have made a commitment to myself, which I made 2 weeks ago, that whatever happens, I'm going to give myself 6 weeks to be a strict carnivore. Just give myself 6 weeks and see how I feel at the end of these 6 weeks as well. I know how I feel from the beginning of the 6 weeks that I've been on, even with a few blips, as I call it, blips. Um, another thing that I wanted to say as well is, if you have a blip, if you turn back to sugar, or you have some carbs, or the most important thing is to not beat yourself up. not think that you failed, not think, oh, well, that's it. It's over. I can't do this. I've given, not to give up. It's a little blip. And I've learned to be really gentle with myself that if I have a blip, it's okay. I can get back on track the next day, you know? Um, and I think so many people, particularly around food, they have so much shame, so much guilt. I shouldn't be. This is wrong. That's wrong. And it's so negative. And I like to look at food. It's like nothing is not allowed. It's what you choose to eat. I choose to eat the carnivore way because I can really start to see the benefits of it now. But I think the minute that you say you can't, you mustn't, it's wrong, it's this, it's that, for me as an addict, I crave it. But if I keep myself in choice, like I just don't do that. I mean, I went over to see a friend yesterday and I didn't know he was cooking me lunch. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be interesting. And actually, he had some beautiful organic chicken breasts, and he was chopping up vegetables. And I just said to him, I said, oh, actually, Jason, I'm not doing vegetables at the moment, so I would just love to have the chicken breast. And he kind of looked at me, you know, really? And I said, yeah, no, I'm doing the carnivore, and it's really suiting me well. So he accepted it, and I just had delicious chicken breast, and I stuck some butter on it as well, and it was amazing. So I'm able to go to a friend's house and still choose what I want to eat. If I want to go out, like tomorrow night, I'm going out for a meal. I can just have a nice steak. I can just have a nice piece of fish. I can have some halloumi cheese. That I realize there are many choices of things to eat. Whereas before, I think when I started my carnivore journey, it was like, oh, well, I'm never going to be able to go out. I'm never going to be able to go around to friends. I'm never, no, all this kind of negative stuff. And actually, I can do these things. It's not a problem, you know? Um, yeah, I feel I have learnt so much in the last 6 weeks, and I will continue to learn and I will continue to grow. Um, but I feel very positive about this. It feels to me that this is what my body loves. This is finally my body has found something that it's like, oh, thank God you are not putting poison into my body anymore. If that does
Yes.
that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. That's
Mm,
that your whole testimonial here is just you're just glowing with the
mm,
success and the happiness and the comfort.
mm.
It's just really one of the best interviews I've had here.
Oh,
It's just so great to hear your experiences. And I certainly have shared those kinds of experiences on Carnivore. Absolutely
mm,
true. It's just
mm,
wonderful. So it's if there's so much there that you've experienced in a relatively short time.
mm.
So
Yeah, God.
please, no, go on, tell.
Yeah, it has been a short journey, but it's also been a long journey, because I feel
Yeah,
I've done so much work on myself since my husband died, and the person I used to be um is like a really distant memory. I don't actually remember being that person. She was so unhappy, she was so miserable. She hated herself, she hated her body, she hated who she was. She didn't want to be alive, and she was very overweight. She was drinking, she was eating rubbish, and just I didn't have mirrors in my house for 4 years because I couldn't bear to look at myself.
really.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It
That's
that's how bad it got, you know. Um and for me, I think I had to get to such a low point in my life with my husband dying, and also it couldn't have got any worse for me. It just couldn't have got any lower for me. So for me, the only way was up. The only way was moving forward. It's probably, all I can say, it's probably been the hardest thing I have ever had to do in my entire life, but it has been the most rewarding, incredible, phenomenal thing that I've also done as well. I
I,
feel I'm one of the luckiest people alive to be who I am today. And that does, you know what, Victoria? It doesn't mean to say that I'm going to have a bad day. I'm going to get, fed up. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to get all these different things. I might have a bad 3, 4 days, but that's okay because I know it'll pass. Life isn't all about being a bed of roses, because no one can actually sustain that. It's for me, the most important thing is the way that I feel today is I know I can cope with the lows. And when I have a clearer brain, because I'm eating good, healthy meats and, whatever, um, when I have a lower day, I have a clearer brain. I'm able to deal with it so much better than when I'm in this sugar fog, you know.
yes. Yeah, I can certainly relate to that. And, Carnivore helped me with my anxiety and depression. And I remember those days, but I'm not there anymore. And certainly that what it took to control it makes me wonder, why didn't I hear this sooner? Why didn't it occur to me sooner? It's just a revelation. It is that we have been putting toxins in our body, and what a difference it makes on so many levels and so many aspects of our life. And it's wonderful. It's just marvelous. It's night and day. I believe I'm a different person now too, and it took me long enough, but I'm glad I'm here.
And, but as you said, it's like it took you enough. It took me long enough, but you can start at any age. There is
Yes,
never, I'm too old. Oh, no, 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 it's too late, too late. I can't do it. I'm way too old. Can't be bothered. I'm not going to change now. There is never, ever, you can start at any time. I met this lady and she was in her 80s. And I'd been to quite a few different self-developmental workshops and stuff. And she was kind of stuck, bless her. She was just stuck. And I said, look, I've done this. I did this year-long thing. Give it a go. Well, my God, at the age of 80, she went and she did this workshop and she dived right in and she came out a different person, you know, in her 80.
wonderful.
It's amazing.
Yes, yes. It really
You know,
gives you hope. It
it gives
does.
it yeah, just because there is no age limit. There is no limit, you know. Um, and the problem is, there is a lot of people who think eating this way, oh my God, well, it's just insanity. What are you doing to your body? You're putting all that fat, you're going to have a heart attack, you're going to have this, you're going to have that. And I just say to people, I'm not mixing it with anything. So how it's working in my body is I am absorbing all of the nutrients, all of the goodness, and it works. I mean, I've got a lovely friend of mine, bless her. She's been on quite a very painful food journey, and she's now got diabetes too. She's um, probably she weighs a lot, like 120 kilos.
Oh my,
Um,
yeah, it's pretty big.
and when I told her what, about my journey, the first thing she said, "Oh, I'm really worried about you. I'm really concerned about this, because you're not getting any fiber. Why aren't you not eating any fruit? You're not getting your vitamin C. You're not getting this. You're not getting that." And do you know what? I just let her say what she needed to say because all she was doing was she was deflecting the fact that
Yes.
she's not able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I
Exactly.
didn't take it personally. I didn't, it's like and all I said to her, I said, well, all I can suggest is do some research on the carnivore diet. Just do some research, uh, because I don't feel at the moment I've been doing this long enough to kind of set an example. You know, maybe a year down the line, once I've been doing this for a year down the line, I can then say to her, look, I've been doing this for a year down the line. This is where I'm at now. Look at me, whatever. And I know I will get to that point, but I didn't feel I was able to, I'm not in a position to do that, you know. And I feel for her because she's going through hell. She's literally going through hell. And each time she has more she has sugar, the sicker she feels, you know. Um, I feel free. I'm the lucky one. I'm free. I eat incredible food now. It's basic, but actually I make my food really delicious, you know. I do use cheese. Some people can't tolerate cheese. Probably shouldn't eat as much cheese as I do, but that's okay. Listen, it's not cake, it's not sugar, it's not whatever. Um, so, you know, and I love sauces, so I'll use cream and blue cheese to make an amazing sauce to go over my steak and stuff. Um, I love frying my eggs in butter. I mean, it's great. What's not to like,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and it's I think my friends are they're curious. They're really curious about it because they see me actually quite well, and I think they're waiting for me to kind of mess up. I think they're waiting for me to just say, "Oh, actually, oh no, it's not that good. It's not this, it's not that." But you know, I really don't feel that's going to happen.
Yes, it seems too good to be true, but it is.
Mm.
It is,
Mm.
it is true.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is. It is, and you know one of the other things as well, like that I think is really important for people to know is my mental health. My mental health is so much better. You know, I don't have the foggy brain. I don't
mhm.
have thoughts like 150 thoughts racing in my mind. Um, I have a calmness within me, and yeah, I can honestly say that I feel in one of the best spaces I've ever been, you know,
Wonderful.
yeah. So I feel very, very blessed. I do a lot of meditation as well. And I think, you know, for me, the combination of meditating, of calming my whole nervous system down, um, has helped alongside the carnivore as well. It's a journey. That's how I look at it.
Mhm.
It's a journey for everyone. And I also believe, as well, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Victoria, but we are all unique. We are all unique individuals. And, you know, not all things fit one size, you know. So the foods that you eat may not suit the foods that I eat, but you know, so long at the end of the day, for me, so long as I stick to what I know works for me, I know it works. I know this is going to transform me to even to the next higher level for me. Um, and it's not you know, and again, that's one thing actually with Mark is with Mark the coach is when I've had a slip, he doesn't shame me. He doesn't make me feel guilty. He doesn't make me feel bad. It's like, well, that's okay. Listen, right, let's just get back on track. Let's do this. Let's do that. You know, um, because I think the whole shaming around food. I mean, you know, when I was eating badly, I would secretly eat. I would have stash, you know, secret, and I lived by myself, and I was, you know, I just wouldn't tell my friends what I was eating. And I would eat
Exactly.
really healthily in front of them. And, oh, I'm not that hungry, whatever. No, I'm not that hungry because I'd eaten probably a whole cake before I went to see them, kind of thing.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and you know, who am I kidding? The only person I'm kidding is me, not them. It's not affecting them in any shape or form. But I think it goes back to the shame and the guilt around food again.
Well, now we have a reason why. We have an understanding of how the kind of food we're eating. It's the subtractive thing I like to think about is that we're not eating those toxins anymore, and we now have more control. And when the brain fog is gone, when the blithering thoughts are calmed,
Mhm.
we can see what we're doing to ourselves if we do indulge in those things, and we have choice. We
Yeah.
can really make that decision. How am I going to deal with this today? And it's such a civilized, such a more gentle, easier way to be, because those toxins really do drive us nuts. I see it in my grandchildren. I have a 3-year-old grandson, and just a little bit of fruit juice, he's bouncing around like it's just impacts him so much. And I have little to say over what they eat, but when they're in my presence, I try to control it a bit. So it's just, it gives us a choice. It gives us a reason, a rationale. It gives us purpose with those food choices. And the shame is gone. It's more about how healthy do I want to be? And I choose to be healthy.
You know what? And you've hit the nail on the head for me, because it's that knowing that you are in choice. You can choose to eat that stuff. You can choose to drink
Mhm.
the juices and stuff, but actually you have self-love to the point where you want to put, you know, good nutritious food into your body. You don't want to have that stuff. And I've reached that point now where it's like I really do love and respect myself enough that I don't want to put that stuff into my body anymore, because to me it is poison. It really is, you know. I mean, it it takes time as well, and I think one of the things with people who maybe are looking at carnivore, who want to change their lifestyle and stuff, we all want a quick fix. Well, I certainly did. I wanted a quick fix. Right, I've just got to lose the weight. Just let me lose the weight, and then I'll be healthy, and then I'll be this, and it's a process, and it's allowing yourself to have space around that process to you know. I had, when I was detoxing off the sugar, off the kind of the poisonous foods, I didn't feel great. I didn't feel well. I had terrible headaches. I felt like I had the flu, all these different things. But I knew it was going to pass, because I knew what my body was doing was detoxing from the poisons, detoxing from the stuff. And actually, it's remembering that, because Christ, this is what this stuff is doing to my body, for me to feel so ill to not have it. Um, so my personal advice is that if anyone who's curious around becoming a carnivore, is to wean yourself off maybe gently with stuff. I would personally say maybe start off the first week or first couple of weeks with ketogenic. So it's an introduction, and it's just kind of like the halfway stage. Um, and then see how you feel, and then try cutting down on things as well. Um, and, and actually making it fun. Have a play around with it. It's not all serious. It's not like, oh my God, I'm giving up all these foods. And do you know what I mean? It's like, try. Okay, well, maybe just today, I'm going to try. I'll have a couple of eggs for breakfast, cooked in some butter. What can I have for lunch? Oh, maybe I'll have some cottage cheese or cream cheese with, some bacon or whatever. And then, I'm going to try some steak tonight, and just play around with it. Because I think that's another thing is we take life, well, I used to take life very seriously. I used to take everything so seriously. And it's like, God, we need to lighten up, you know, make this enjoyable, make it fun, make it different, do your research online about where you can get, good value, quality meats. I've done so much looking online at different food companies and stuff, and you'll be surprised how much they differ in price, you know, but no different quality as well. Because in England, we can't, it's really difficult to buy in the supermarkets like grass-fed, antibiotic-free. We just don't sell it. I know in the States you can get that kind of stuff in the supermarkets, can't you? Which is
Yes, yes, we
great.
can. Yeah.
Yeah. But in England, you can get maybe a bit of chicken, but it's quite hard to find. And the quality's not
And
necessarily that great.
and expensive too. Yeah.
It is expensive.
Mhm.
You're right. It is expensive, but then I have to bring it back to say, I'm not eating any other kind of foods.
Yes,
So
that's
again,
very true.
it's
Hmm.
kind of it's changing that thought pattern. Oh my God, it's so expensive, I can't afford it. Well, you're not buying vegetables, fruit, carbohydrates, pulses.
Yes.
You're not buying any of that stuff. So you plus junk food, plus whatever, plus eating out, plus takeaways, all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. You will actually probably save money or break even.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
it's changing that thought mind
Hmm.
of sitting in the negativity
Exactly
of,
true.
yeah. And for me it's like I need to change that negativity into a positivity for me, and into a positive, and keep with
Mhm.
that positivity. Um and yeah, I'm just having fun with it. I mean, I'm going away for the weekend, and I like to plan what I'm going to eat, what I'm going to take, and it's quite funny because I'm going to a friend's 60th birthday party, and she's a strict vegan.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I've messaged her and I just said, look, I just need to let you know I won't be eating your food. I will be bringing my own food and I will be cooking my own food because I'm strict carnivore. Um,
Hmm.
and just I didn't ask her. I just told her that that's what I would be doing.
Hmm.
And actually, she just turned around and she said, that's fine. That's not a problem at all.
Well, you're lucky in that because some people are quite strict and won't
Mm,
change and don't
mm.
want meat in their environment,
Yeah, she was actually
unfortunately.
really good about it. So I was very lucky, and I am very
Hmm.
lucky. Um, and if do you know what, if need be, I would have just taken cold foods. I'm going to pre-cook some foods that I just heat up, so it's nice and quick and easy. And if she had said no, I would have gone into my car and I would have eaten my food and just not eaten around
Yes.
her and people
Hmm.
who are eating vegan foods, just to
Yeah.
respect them, because some people can be very offended by meat and stuff. It's a personal thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. Absolutely.
it goes back to the fact that we are all different, and they choose to do what they choose to do, and I'm choosing to do what works for me.
Hmm.
You know, so yeah, it's. I'm very excited about my journey. I feel very excited. It's like I just want it to be 6 months' time now, so I can have a conversation with you, Victoria, and say, "Oh my God, I've been doing it. I've been doing it for 6 months, and
Yeah.
this has happened, and that's happened, and this is how I feel now." Do you know what I mean?
Well, we certainly will. We can revisit then, surely. We can do
Yeah,
that.
I would
Yes.
love to do that, because
It,
I it's like I can see myself in 6 months, if that makes sense.
yeah. Well, let's do that. Let's make a date to do that and
Yeah.
revisit and hear
Mm.
from you then.
Yeah.
This is very exciting. I'm so
Mm.
happy to hear from you and hear your story.
Thank you. Yeah, and well, thank you so much as well for inviting me. It's just to tell people my story, to be able to put yeah, my story out there is important. I've come from, I've done a lot of work on myself. I am not the person who I used to be. I used to be a total victim of life, and I am not a victim of life in any shape or form. And I would just say to anyone, anything's possible. If you're stuck in that negativity, if you're stuck in that kind of that heaviness of life, that everything's weighing you down, you can change. You can do life differently. You can do things differently. And for me, the most important thing is we are what we eat. And if you put the right foods into your body, that is giving you such a good head start with stuff. And and
Absolutely
and
true.
and then the other things will start to naturally follow and fall into place as well, you know. So yeah, lucky me. And lucky
Yes,
you for being
yes.
you've been carnivore for what? Did you say 7 years?
We are in our seventh year. Yes. And
Wow.
it took me almost losing my husband. He had a heart attack, and I think it was
Mm,
April of 2014. And
mm,
he was 50 pounds overweight because he was living with me and I was cooking up a storm.
mm,
And we came to it from paleo, and then we remembered Atkins because we're old enough to
mhm.
remember doing
Yep,
Atkins, which
yep,
led us right into keto, which we did for 3 years. And then we started uh, carnivore in 2017. And again, Sean Baker was my inspiration for that.
yep.
And his video. I don't know if his book was out at the time. It may have been, but I didn't get it till later. But
Mm,
it becomes your routine. It becomes your life. It becomes your reality.
mm.
Because to change, to veer off course, you do feel the impact of it almost immediately. So
Yeah.
it it's a great choice in my estimation.
Do you know, I totally agree. And each time I have veered off course, each time I feel worse and worse and worse with it. And for me, it's like I feel now I've actually reached that point. It's like I can't go back there. I actually
Yeah.
can't put myself through it anymore.
Yes. Yeah. It would
It's too
be.
painful. It's too
Mhm.
difficult. I feel so
Yeah.
ill with it.
Exactly
And I
true.
don't, and the difference for me today, I do not feel that I'm missing out on anything.
Mhm.
Because actually, what am I missing out on? Nothing. You know, what to feel bloated, to feel uncomfortable, have a foggy brain, have pain in my body. There's all these negatives that are linked to you know,
Yes, exactly
to
true.
eating the other way.
It's a big mindset change, and when food no longer is entertainment or comfort,
Mm,
it's a big difference. And I have a large family, and they just love to eat and drink. And I used to be very happy with my wine, but no more, not on
mm,
that anymore.
mm,
So yeah, it does make it is a mindset change,
mm.
and
I
then
mean,
you reap the
yeah.
benefit.
And I think, for people who do drink alcohol, I mean, actually, I'm so blessed because I stopped drinking nearly 10 years ago. So
Hmm.
alcohol's not part of my life, so I
Hmm.
don't have to think about that because I know that can be quite a big thing for people. But I have the most amazing social life and I don't drink alcohol. I can go out and do crazy things without having alcohol. I can just be me. It's again, it's that belief that you can't live without it. You can,
Yes.
you know.
And you can enjoy yourself pain free
Oh my
because you
God,
have the
pain for
energy. Hmm.
exactly. And the other thing, when you also, like, going back to alcohol, when you don't drink, you can drive home at any time that you want. You can get in your car. You have choices. You have choices that people who have had a few drinks, they don't have. You remember the evening. You don't have to have a hangover the next day.
Hmm. Yes, exactly true.
Yeah,
Very
there are all
good.
these, lots of benefits to
Hmm.
all of this, really.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It is. It
I'm
is.
so
Yeah.
happy for you. I love
Thank
hearing
you.
your story. It's great.
Thank you so
Marvelous.
much, Vic. Thank you so much for having me, Victoria. Because yeah, it's something that I really want to do is to try and put my story out there to people. You know,
Well, thank
because
you.
yeah, well, there's always hope. There is even when you can't see it, even when you can't feel it, even when you can't, um, you just think everything. It's there is no choice. There is no hope. There is always hope. I reached about as rock bottom as I could get. It got to the point for me where either I took my own life, or I knew if I chose life that I had to change every single aspect about me, every single thing. And it's been a journey, but God, I feel so blessed, you know.
Yeah.
Because what a waste it would have been if I
Yes.
just
Yes.
like, you know, I would never
Mhm.
re experience any of this.
Yes. And to flip that switch
Mm.
actually it's a little bit difficult to get over the whole food connection thing, but to see in retrospect how the changes came about and how happy you are now. It's wonderful.
Mm. Mm. And it's having that inner peace, isn't it? Just having that like
Yes.
real inner contentment.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, of course, the negative things do come in once in a while, but I just like, actually, do you know what? Do you know
Yes.
what? That's an old
Yes.
part of me.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
ugh,
Exactly.
brush it
Hmm.
off. It's like, I used to think like that. I used to feel that, but actually, that's not me anymore. You know, so it's like, yeah, you can go away now. Thanks, but
Yes.
no thanks.
Love it.
Yeah, so
Great. That's great.
it's good. Yeah. Thank you, Victoria.
Well, thank you, Nicole, for sharing your story with us. We're very, very pleased to hear it. And yes, we will revisit. Let's come back,
I
maybe
would
more
love
than one.
to.
Mhm.
Yes,
That'd
that
be
would be very,
excellent.
very lovely. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for sharing your story with us. And I'm just going to sign off now.
Okay.
And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you,
Okay.
Victoria.
Right. Thank you. Bye.